Hi guys, it's Evan, and today's video is a story time, as you can see by the tagline. And this video has nothing to do with paganism, Wicca, witchcraft, anything like that. It is purely a story time and kind of a more in-depth kind of background, things like that. Okay, so I wanted to point a few things out. First and foremost, I am going to change the names of the individuals involved in this just for the sake of, firstly, it happened a long time ago. Secondly, no hard feelings. We all grew up, we all learned from it. So just to kind of save their identity and stuff like that, I'm going to change their names. Secondly, this did happen in 2009/2010. So this did happen like 6-7 years ago, 5-6 years ago, a while ago. So like I said, no hard feelings. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so this story might be kind of long. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes, but we'll see. All right, so let's take it back to February/March of 2009. I was a senior in high school. And at the time, I had a pretty close-knit group of friends. And for those of you that don't know, I went to a high school in the city. So I didn't go to high school up in Perigo. There's these two girls named Lee and Mary, and they were a couple, and we were in the same clique group of friends. Okay, so around February/March of 2009, Lee had exclaimed to me that her and Mary were having problems, and she had told me, I want to break up with her, but I live with her, so it's kind of a hairy situation. What should I do? And I just gave her my honest opinion. I said, hey, if you're not happy, don't be with her, move back to your mom's house. At the time, we were like 16, 17. So I'm like, just move back to your mom's house. So Lee ended up breaking up with Mary. And during the month of March going into April of 2009, Lee and I had become very close. And in fact, we did start to date. And since Mary was still friends with us, we decided not to announce it to her. And the very few close friends that knew, we said, kind of keep it pretty hush because we don't want to hurt her feelings because we are still friends with her. So Lee and I didn't have any PDA. We didn't kiss. I said, don't put me under baby in your phone, keep me under Evan. Like, just don't, I don't want any bad blood. Okay, so Mary did not handle the breakup well at all. Even before she knew that Lee and I were dating, she did not. She had a complete system shut down, and I can't blame her at all because they were dating for about 3 or 4 years at that point. A good chunk of her teen years was spent with Lee, so I can't really blame her for being upset. So she was calling Lee's phone all the time, leaving really nasty voicemails like, you fucking bitch, come talk to me, blah, blah, blah. Till one night in April, it completely boiled over, and Lee ended up leaving a really horrible message on Mary's voicemail, which, long story short, the police got involved, and Lee ended up going to jail for, I believe it was like verbal assault, or not verbal assault, like verbal harassment, and a death threat, because on the voicemail, she threatened her life, which was really stupid to do. So anyway, Lee ends up going to jail for a little bit, and at this point, me and Mary, we're not really friends because Mary kind of figured out that Lee and I were dating now, but she was still cool with me. Her and I were still cool. So after I finished high school in May of 2009, I moved back up to Perigo from the city with Lee, and we moved back into my dad's house with my dad's girlfriend and him. So this is about 50 miles away from where we went to high school, keep in mind. This is not quick jaunt up to the mountains. This is like, you need to go through back roads, and you need to kind of make it takes me 2 hours to get down to the city. We'll say that, okay? So 4-hour trip, 2 hours here, 2 hours back. So it got to the point where in June of 2009, Mary was driving up here to Perigo, stalking Lee and I. She was calling her phone, leaving voicemails, driving by my dad's house and my mom's house. And she did that for the entire summer of 2009. Well, in November of 2009, so this actually happened in the fall as well. In November of 2009, I got so fed up. It was to the point to where Mary was now calling my home phone. I was living at my mom's house at this point. She was calling my mom's home phone and leaving these really nasty voice messages. And she was calling about I'm going to be liberal and say 200-300 times a day. It got to the point where at nighttime I'd have to actually unplug the landline from the phone jack, because she would call, she would hang up, let it ring for a good 2 minutes, immediately hang up and call back. So it got to the point where I had to completely turn off the home phone and I had to shut off my cell phone at nighttime. And, you know, meanwhile, Lee's kind of, you know, she still has the case from when she went to jail back in April. So she was getting all of her stuff transferred up to the county that we now live in from the city. During this time, there was a no contact order instilled from Mary. She didn't want Lee to contact her, yet Mary was driving by my house, calling Lee's phone and calling my phone. One night I just had enough. Mary called. She's like, hey, I'm by the Safeway. Hey, I'm by the McDonald's. And I was just like, this is not a good, I'm not promoting violence, you guys, but I was so fed up. When I was a teenager, you know, I was like, I'm just going to beat this girl's ass. You know, I was just to the point where I'm like, okay, if you're really up here, if you really took the time to drive 2 hours out of your way to come find us because you have beef with me because of your ex-girlfriend, then okay, let's just fight. So I said, meet me here and here at this time. And she was driving around the town saying, oh, I'm by here, I'm by here. At this point, I told Lee, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go to jail for this bitch. You get on my cell phone, you call the police, you know, describe her car, tell them where she's at. So what ended up happening was Mary was drinking and driving, and she also had another girl in the car who was like 14, and she ended up crashing into a telephone pole about a block from my house. And you know, the police called, they told us, you know, we got her, she's arrested, she had alcohol in the car, she had a laptop in her car, you know. So Mary goes to jail for stalking us at this point. Now it gets to the point when she gets out of jail. She was in jail for like 2 weeks. She gets out of jail, and this is when MySpace was like all the rage. This is like before Facebook. This is like when MySpace was kind of transitioning into like the Facebook phase. So we all had MySpace accounts, and Mary made 2 fake profiles, one of Lee and one of me, and she sent these really horribly savage beast messages. She pretty much copy and pasted verbatim our profiles and made new ones under our names, and she was writing these vicious messages from us to her. I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna, like, I'm not talking like, oh, I'm gonna come to your house and like shoot you with a gun. I'm talking like, I'm gonna skin you. At one point, I think this is kind of funny now, but at one point she said that she said that we were going to kidnap her and then throw her in a mine after we skinned her. Okay, can we just take a moment to soak that in? What the fuck kind of person says that? Okay, a sick person. And the fact that she said that we sent these messages to her, it's a little alarming, right? Okay, so at this point, the police knock on my door, and it's like 3 in the morning. Hello? Put your hands behind your back. You're being arrested for felony stalking and harassment and attempted manslaughter. Excuse me? At this point, I just turned 19. So I was like, no, I just turned 18. I was like, wait a minute. This is like big person. Like, this is like grown up jail. Like, what? And all I've had on my record before was like loitering, like stupid things like that. Jaywalking. And all of a sudden now I'm being slapped with attempted murder, felony, stalking, and harassment. So I was like shaking in my fucking boots. I was so scared. And anyway, Lee went to jail for the same thing too, by the way. Anyway, long story short about that, I ended up posting bail. I ended up getting out. So did Lee. This is the kicker here. When we were in jail, Mary was still receiving these messages from us while we were incarcerated. So the CBI, which is the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, got involved, and they completely seized her laptop and her desktop at her house and at her mom's house. Lee and I didn't have a laptop or anything like that. We actually had to go to the public library to go get on the MySpace and to do all those fun things. So, and you had, in public libraries, I don't know anymore, but in public libraries, when you get on the computer, you generally have like a little log to sign on to, like what number of computer you're on, how long you're going to be on it, things like that. She was driving up here from the city up to Perigo using the library and saying that we, you know, signing our names in, and that's how she was writing these messages. When they seized her laptop and her cell phone and they like thoroughly investigated it. They were like, there's no way that could have happened because these two girls were in jail. So there's no way that can happen. And the whole time, you know, Mary's like, oh, these girls are trying to kill me. And oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm so afraid for my life. And she was like hamming this up, you guys. Like, she was like telling them, I'm afraid for my life. I'm afraid to walk out the front door. I'm afraid to go to work. I'm afraid to go finish high school. And I'm just like, oh my God, I live 2 hours away from you. What? What? Oh, hell no. Okay, come to find out, Lee one night came clean to me and told me the reason why she's doing this, and I really hate to say it now, the reason why she's not taking this as well as you would think is because I technically cheated on her with you. So this girl Lee, when she told me her and Mary were breaking up, she didn't break up with Mary right away. She was dating me all the way. She was dating Mary whilst dating me all the way up until I turned 18. So from March, when Lee and I got together, all the way until June. So that's 3 months. They were still dating. So she told me this, you know, of course, 7 months into our relationship. And being the dumb young adult teenager I was, I'm like, it's okay. Because I loved the girl. So I'm like, it's okay, you know, like, we'll work through it. She's obviously clearly fucking insane. So